All right, good morning, everyone. I want to thank you for having me out this morning to talk about water recycling in a sewer cleaning and storm cleaning application. My name is David Brockman. I am the Associate Product Manager at Vactor Manufacturing. We build industrial vacuum trucks, hydro excavators, as well as combination sewer cleaners. A little background on me: I started with the company as a sales training tech, which is basically a demo guy. I was extremely involved in the development, the training, and customer trials and things we've done with the recycler. This is a project that's not new to Vactor. We invented our first water recycler in 1984. It was a little ahead of its time. There was things inside the debris body, things of that nature, so it didn't really catch on. So we kind of binned it, and then we've had our recycler out now for probably about 4 years. I'm not going to make this a Vactor commercial. This is going to be an overview on the benefits of water recycling. Obviously, I'm from Vactor, so there's going to be some Vactor references because that's the experience I have with the recycling. An average day, there's just a few steps for combination sewer cleaning. They're there on the screen. We fill it with fresh water. We use a nozzle and a hose to propel the pipe, and then we use high pressure water to flush material back to the manhole where we vacuum it up. We can decant our excess liquids back into the sewer system or storm system and then repeat all day long. Now, the first line in that is sewer cleaner is filled with fresh water. Okay, so we'll keep that in mind as we move forward. So an average day, we go to the water source to fill up our truck, which is usually a fire hydrant, and we fill the truck with basically drinking water. We drive to the cleaning site, we get our traffic control and our truck set up. Again, we do the steps with the actual cleaning procedure. Sometimes we have to do what's called step cleaning, which means instead of trying to clean 300 feet of pipe at once, you clean 20 feet and you bring that debris back. Then you go out 40 feet and bring that debris back. We're not always just doing a one pass and done. So as you can imagine, your 300-foot storm drain, storm line or sewer line just became 1,000 feet because you have to go in and out and in and out to get all your debris out. That's not every time, but it is common. So you got to keep that water usage in mind as well. And again, we'll decant off and leave our solids in the truck and then repeat all day long. So this is step cleaning.
If sewers are extremely dirty, step cleaning is often required. Another technique used by operators is the step cleaning method. The savvy equipment operator would use this technique to avoid the nozzle getting stuck in pipes with heavy debris. In step cleaning, the operator recognizes that the pipe to be jetted has significant debris loads and that rapidly sending the nozzle to the end of the line is not always such a good idea. Anyone who has had to cut a sewer hose and sacrifice a buried nozzle understands this. Step cleaning is analogous to digging a hole for a fence post. Digging a hole requires debris to be removed from the top down, not the bottom up, and that the dirt and debris be removed in stages, not all at once. This is how step cleaning is accomplished. Depending on the debris loads present, the operator should take small bites and clean the pipe in stages, removing debris from a short section before advancing further up the pipe. This can be time-consuming, but is often unavoidable.
Okay, that was step cleaning that I spoke to earlier. As you can see, you might have to make 3 or 4 partial passes to get through your sewer line, which uses a lot of fresh water. So a normal combination sewer cleaner day without recycling is, I'm not going to read all the steps there, but you can kind of see that there's a lot of tearing down to drive to go find water, to go find a fire hydrant, go back to your shop to get your water. Depends on where you get your water at. So, you know, an average day you get 1,000 to 1,200 feet because you're spending all that time getting water. The first step of that, and consequently getting water throughout the rest of the day, in our studies, we've rarely found that to take less than 20 minutes. It's usually much longer than that, especially as towns limit hydrant use, or again, you have to go back to your sewer department to get your fresh water. Driving the truck back and forth consumes like half of the day. There are a lot of variables in cleaning sewers. The line size and the length, how much material you have in the line, and the flow rates you need to get the debris to the manhole to vacuum it up. So on average, it takes about 2 gallons of water to clean 1 foot of pipe. Most combination sewer cleaners have a maximum of about 1,500 gallons of water, Vactor and most of the other manufacturers that build combination machines. You can get about 800 feet or so before you need to go refill the truck. And again, most applications, when we're not recycling, we'll only be able to clean for about 30 to 40 minutes depending on the gallons per minute we're using on the truck. And then we have to continue to go through all these non-value adding steps. Obviously significant water savings, and I'll have some examples of that here shortly. And also we can get more lines clean because we're not chasing water all day. Recycling isn't new, like I said. A lot of people, it seems new too, because it's just kind of recently in America starting to get more dominant. But in Europe, they've been doing it for years and years. And that's why we wanted to get on board with that. The awareness of the value of drinkable water, the awareness what it costs to clean that water at the wastewater treatment plant, and awareness of overflows and the consent degrees and things like that for fines, so we need to clean our sewers more often. And we have fewer resources, the cities, with less equipment and less people to do the work, so we need to get more done with the equipment and workforce we have. So some other things we learned when we were doing our development of this is the tough jobs are not anomalies. They happen constantly. You get a nozzle stuck, or you get tangled up in a root ball, or you hit a blockage, things like that. Those all require time and water. And the operators, they don't want to run out of water. You run out of water halfway down the pipe, you just got to go right back in that pipe after you go get water. So it's very time consuming. So it's smart to refill before you really need to. So if a truck holds 1,500 gallons of water, you're not going to use every ounce of that 1,500 gallons. You get done with a manhole and you have 300 gallons of water, you're not going to start the next manhole, you're going to go get water. So realistically, you're only using 1,000, 1,200 gallons of water between fills, which even makes the filling more frequent. Operators can focus on the cleaning when they don't have to worry about water. They're not coming back a little too quick because they think, oh no, I'm going to run out of water, I got to get that nozzle back. They don't have to worry about that now, so they can clean the pipes the proper way. And it's safer. Now, safer was something that we didn't really see when we were developing this, but in talking with operators, there was a great example, the city of San Diego, California, where they were a big part of helping us develop this product, and they had a very large line that they would clean along a major highway near the city, and it took them 2 days to clean this stretch of line. And they would have to pull out into the traffic on the freeway, set up traffic control, go get water, pull back in. Anyway, it took them 2 days to do this. When they started recycling and they did not have to stop to get water, they did it in 4 hours. So the time savings is tremendous, especially when you're doing big lines and using a lot of water. So some of the benefits, it's not uncommon to recycle 10 gallons of water in a day. You're not only saving that fresh water, you're cleaning more lines because you're not chasing water. So you can it's really realistic to be twice as productive. And what are the alternatives to using less water and getting more lines clean? What are the other options? Another truck, another couple guys to run the truck, a water truck to follow around the non-recycling sewer truck. Sure, there's options, but all those options far outweigh the investment that you would make in a sewer cleaner with a recycling system on it. Because they're all, ours included, they're obviously much more going on, so they're more expensive machines than a standard sewer cleaner. And that can be kind of scary at first when you see that extra money tagged onto there. But when you really consider the alternatives, the return on investment is very fast and very powerful. So a normal day with recycling on a combination sewer cleaner. So we start the day, we go to the work site and set up, and we clean, clean, clean. Guys will take a break, do a little more cleaning, maybe grab some lunch, set up again, clean, 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 tear down, go back to the public works department, and that's the end of their day. That's a pretty typical day from what we've seen with recycling without having to chase the water. As you can see, the guys were getting 2 to 2,800 feet, which that's working pretty good, pretty hard, but it's not uncommon to get that kind of footage. I did a presentation a while back and I got done. It was for operators, and I said, okay guys, anybody got any questions? And guy raised his hand and he said, does this mean we don't get any more breaks? I said, no, now you can just take your break under a shade tree instead of having, down at the fire hydrant. But that was the main concern with operators, because there is more demand on the operators. A lot of operators look at that time going to fetch water as a time they can, call their wife or, I don't know, run to the gas station to get a soda or something like that. So that's one thing that's, it's a little bit of a different operating environment. This is a recycler demo that I did back when I was doing demonstrations in 2016. And we have a system that tracks basically every time you engage the truck, like get the truck ready to work. And that's on the left. It gives it a unique ID. And then the time, whether or not we vac. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, if you look at the water used, the second column from the right, 14,888 gallons of water we ran through our water pump and that day with not a drop of fresh water. That was completely recycled water. The next day, it looks like we were slacking and only worked till about 12:40, and we had 10,600 gallons of water through the pump. If you think about that, in a day and a half, we had 25,000 gallons of water. No fresh, none. The thing is, you gotta have water to recycle water. So what we do is we go find a higher flow line. We just vac up sewer water, or we vacked out of ponds before. And you can use fresh water to get started if that's what you have available. But it would be a one and done type thing for the day. If you kind of do the math on this, let's say we averaged, 10,000 gallons a day. That'd be a pretty decent average, because we're working pretty hard that day. We got 15,000. So that saves about 10 fills a day, which would be 50 fills a week, 200 fills a month. If an average of 10,000 gallons a day could be saved, this is one truck I'm talking about. In 1 year, that's 2.6 million gallons of fresh water. That's substantial. And you think, that's one truck. So if you have a fleet of 10, or you think about the state, or you think about the Northeast, throughout the whole country, it is a tremendous amount of drinkable fresh water that we're dumping right back into the sewer to get treated all over again. The sewer doesn't care if the water's dirty. It doesn't. We can use dirty water to clean a sewer. We don't need to use drinking water. That's a pretty huge number when you break it down. Some system considerations if you are looking into recycling. Continuous process versus batch. Basically that means, do you ever have to stop and wait for a recycling system to clean the water for you, okay? That doesn't interrupt the cleaning process. Filtration level is another big one. Again, water quality doesn't matter to the sewer. It matters to your truck. The only reason we filter this water at all, we could run dirty water through the pump right back into the sewer, but we need to filter it to get the abrasives out of it so we don't tear up our pump, our nozzles, our rotor hose, things like that. So you need to know what the smallest particle size, the particular system you're looking at limits. Understand what can get through the system. Again, that's mainly particle size. A grain of sand's about 400 micron. So if you can filter down to 100 micron, that's a pretty good balance between abrasive and yet getting enough flow to not interrupt an 80 gallon a minute cleaning cycle, for example. Lowest water velocities in the system, again, just keeping the water clean and so we don't wear out the valves and the plumbing and things like that. Another thing we gotta keep in mind is all systems, they have limits. A filter is a filter is a filter at the end of the day. Every filter has the possibility to blind, clog. The important thing is how do you recover from that? Do you need to crawl inside the debris body? Do you need to have a mechanic on site to take apart a bunch of stuff so you can get to a filter? How easy is it to get this thing back on the road or back in the pipe, if it would clog? Also, the materials of construction. Recycled water is nasty. It's not a good thing to have in your system, right? So, is it stainless steel? Is it aluminum? Is it regular steel? What are the components made from? And then the capacity to use the truck as a standard truck. Speaking just for our company, that was a big design goal, was to be able to recycle, but yet there's going to be circumstances where recycling is not the right tool for that application. A lot of places or municipalities are using their sewer cleaners for hydro excavating, for example. So it's important to be able to have your full complement of fresh water when you go out to hydro excavate or anything like that that you're going to need to do with clean water. And the maintenance. How often do you have to maintain it? Things like that. What's the cost of the maintenance on it? Now, this is our system. I just wanted to kind of show you a lot of the systems on the market are pretty similar. They have filters and things like that, but just so you can kind of get a better understanding how one of these recycling systems works, I'd like to show you this.
The Vactor 2100 Plus water recycling system saves fresh or potable water and provides remarkable productivity gains by recycling the water used during sewer line cleaning. The recycling system provides a continuous supply of recycled water to the jetting system. The goal of a recycling system is to eliminate most of the abrasive particles from the water to protect the high-pressure pump, hoses, nozzles, and the sewer lines. Vactor's 5-stage recycling system is unique because it provides absolute water filtration to 100 micron particle sizes. That means abrasive particles larger than this are removed 100%. The first stage is the initial separation that takes place due to natural settling in the debris body. Stage 2 is a core screen filter that prevents larger solids from entering the pump that feeds the final 3 stages. The finer, heavier solids that pass through the core screen filter are pumped to a high-velocity centrifugal separator in the 3rd stage. Stage 4, the classification filter, eliminates all abrasive particles larger than 100 microns, preventing them from entering the jetting system. The 5th stage is the settling action in the dedicated stainless steel reservoir that supplies the proven Vactor jet rotor pump. This system feeds Vactor's large-diameter, slow-moving single-piston jet rotor pump, which handles dirty water better than high-speed triplex-type pumps. The filtration in a recycling system exists to protect the high-pressure pump, hoses, nozzles, and the sewer lines. Therefore, the cleaner the water, the longer the life of these jetting system components, and the lower the potential for damage to the sewer lines. But that's not all. This exclusive, easy-to-use system features a continuous and fully automated self-cleaning feature. Vactor's water recycling system provides the finest level of filtration and is fully constructed of stainless steel. It has no moving parts in the debris body or water tanks, and you will never be required to enter the body or water tank to maintain it. Contact us to learn more about Vactor's water recycling system.
So everyone in the industry uses a similar setup, right? They have filters, pumps, things of that nature. But that's just kind of an overview of how most recycling systems will work. We're basically pumping water out of the debris body through a filter back into our rotor pump. That's the long and short of it. Obviously, there's a lot more going on than that. But it's really a pretty simple setup. Taking the solids out so we don't damage our pump, so we don't have to go get clean water. There's a few misconceptions too, I think, with recycling. I've heard people that I have talked with or given presentations to that say, well, it's not for us. We clean residential 8-inch lines, not much flow. We can't recycle. That's absolutely not true. You have to get some water to start with. So like I said, you can go to a main, you can vac up some water in your debris tank to get the recycling process started. But as long as you vacuum up all the water you're putting in the line, you can go, it's just all day long. You put it in, you vacuum it up, and around and around and around it goes. So that's a misconception. High flow lines, it's great to use them as well. We have a lot of storm customers that use them, just because a lot of the storm lines it takes a little bit longer to get to the hydrants and stuff, especially when they're out on the edge of town. We clean lines with no flow in them. Again, as long as you can pick up what you're putting in, the recycling process can continue uninterrupted all day. Any questions so far?
You mentioned on the water tank, or the video did, that it settles. So is there a cleaning process for whatever settles out?
Yes, there's a handgun coupling basically at the front of the tank. and a drain at the rear with a high-pressure jet that will clean anything out of the bottom of the tank. And the pickup is also about 3 inches above the bottom of the tank, so anything that settles doesn't go directly into the pump.
And then has there ever been concern of when you're using the hand wand to, for most of us, it's culvert cleaning,
Okay.
the splash of contaminated water?
Yes, definitely. We have, and other companies will do this as well. It's not just us again, but, we've done a small triplex style pump that is completely separate from any of the recycled water components, because your pump is contaminated. Your main pump you can run fresh water through it to get it pretty clean, but I mean, still, all that stuff is still contaminated with sewage or storm or whatever you happen to be cleaning it with. So we have done separate, small, like a small pressure washer style pump, just to ensure that there's no contamination if you're spraying the ground or anything like that during cleanup and things of that nature.
So that's a separate tank?
The way ours works, we have that settling tank, the upper right-hand tank. We still have the rest of the truck dedicated to fresh water capability. And we have check valves and knife valves in place that basically there's no way we could ever contaminate our clean water tanks with dirty water that's running through the pump.
And then, just curious, does anybody in here have one of these?
MDC has one right here in Hartford.
What, just not to put you on the spot, but just ballpark cost to go from a standard Vactor to the recycling?
It's about $100,000 on top of the standard truck.
So I'm with California, and I noticed in your slide that you showed pictures of a Vactor truck in LA.
Yeah.
And I have always been under the impression from discussions with our maintenance folks that in a lot of areas we can't put that contaminated water, even though we vacuum it out of the storm drain, we cannot put it back in that drain.
I have heard that, and mainly.
And on that, is that just hearsay? Is it, urban legend?
I have heard that a lot, especially in the western states where, California's a good example for, they're extremely careful with their water supply and things like that. So I have heard that they won't allow that in a storm situation. San Diego has several recyclers, so I know the sewer part of things isn't an issue. The storm part may be in different communities because it is contaminated water. Like you said, you're vacuuming it out of the sewer. Why can't you put it back in? Yeah. But again, appreciate it.
The preceding was produced by the National Center for Pavement Preservation. More information can be found on the web at pavementpreservation.org. Additional support provided by Michigan State University.